Hey there, and welcome back to Transformers the Game! As you recall, in the last episode, we shocked things up with an assessment of the Decepticon Triple Changer Shockwave. And now, we are continuing our examination of unplayable characters with a return to a Gathering Force, to take a sharp look at everyone's favorite hater, Bonecrusher. This character is a highlight of the game, despite only appearing in 2 chapters. He has had more work put into him than some of the core characters. Honestly, you might be surprised just how impressive this guy is. So, let's get in game and check him out. So here we have Decepticon Bonecrusher. Bonecrusher appears twice in the Decepticon campaign, once in Chapter 2, Sinister Savior, and later in Chapter 4, Warpath, along his cohort, Brawl. Both times he is being escorted through the airbase. Bonecrusher has only 1500 HP, but is for some strange reason invincible in robot mode. Must have something to do with how his 2 missions play out in the campaign, but that is just pure speculation. Bonecrusher bears a light tan color that is a bit too red in hue compared to his on-screen counterpart, and a bit too dirty and dark as well. He's also got the most complicated rig in the entire game, with the feet alone having almost 40 bones combined. What's interesting is that for a character that barely shows up in the game and isn't even playable without modding, he is about as fully functional as any standard character, give or take a few specific abilities. Anyway, let's roll through his design and assess any issues that turn up. Starting at the head, there are a couple issues that stand out. First of all, Bonecrusher has no optic texture. I honestly find this surprising, as it seems Bonecrusher had way more fortitude put into his design than even some of the playable ones. Jazz. But we'll get into that more later. Additionally, I find that Bonecrusher's head is just way too dark, even compared to his overall darker tone in general. This has just always stood out to me, and not in a good way. It just really irks me how off it looks in comparison to the rest of him. Moving down to his chest, he begins to suffer from some significantly low-resolution textures, as the Decepticon insignia below his head is barely even legible and looks more like a gritty smudge than anything else. Of course, we can't move off the chest without first addressing his trademark claw weapon resting on his back. This has to be one of the coolest pieces of any Transformer design ever. The fact that he has this wicked crane on his back that looks just like some fancy kibble when not in use, only to become this wicked killing machine, is just so darn cool. Seriously, considering how this guy is barely even used in the game, I wouldn't have even been remotely surprised if they didn't rig this thing at all. But they did, and I commend them for it. Moving on to his shoulders, he does have a couple noteworthy issues to mention. First, there appears to be an inconsistency with his rigging. The right shoulder has part of the main joint assigned to the clavicle bone, as opposed to the left side where it is assigned correctly to the upper arm bone. A slight oversight there, but nothing too noticeable. However, on the more apparent side, there is a Bonecrusher logo that is present in vehicle mode. However, for some reason, the pad on the right seems to be quite misplaced. It seems as if the UV coordinates for this section weren't positioned properly, and as such, now leave you with this dull brown section that just looks terribly out of place. Additionally, on his right hand, there is a tiny joint on his lower right finger that has no material assigned. It is incredibly obscure and barely noticeable at all, but is still nonetheless an issue all the same. Dude must have something about his right side if he's got so many problems with it. That seems to be it when it comes to issues. However, I still want to address one last area, and that is, of course, his feet. As I said, Bonecrusher's feet alone have to be the most complicated rig in the entire game, having around 20 bones per foot. It is difficult to tell exactly why the devs went so hard on his feet of all things. I'm forced to speculate it has something to do with the suspension effect his feet have during his idle stance, but I'm not totally sure. Seriously, I don't know why a character that's barely in the game got so much attention put into him when other more common characters have some of the worst issues imaginable. But that will suffice for the visual analysis. Let's roll on over to gameplay, starting with movements. Again, for a character that you only encounter twice and don't even fight, he is almost completely on par with the rest of the playable characters. He can walk, run, or roll in this case, strafe, strafe roll, jump, and jump slam. He can also naturally perform the same number of melee combos. Combo 1, Combo 2A, Combo 2B, Combo 3A, Combo 3B, Combo 3C, which is my personal favorite. I just love that wicked punch he does. And Combo 3D. He can also block and counterattack by reaching out his crane to deliver the final crushing blow. He can kick objects, and he can also pick up and use pole objects. When it comes to ranged weapons, he actually has a uniquely designed weapon model made for him. It fires a light primary weapon, which is one of the few weapons in the high-res assets that actually has a functional projectile, and his secondary weapon fires a slightly stronger blast that has a small but sufficient blast radius. Moving on to unused content, most of what he has is just leftover animations from Bumblebee that just break him. So we'll just skip all those and focus on what actually still works. First of all, he has a couple take-hit animations. He has his standard take-hit light and take-hit medium animations. He also has a unique take-hit wall animation, which I believe I am seeing for the first time. Additionally, he's got a fully functional set of animations for flying back, being picked up, struggling, and of course, getting thrown. Including a unique flyback death that I also don't think I've seen before now. So, that's all for Bonecrusher's robot mode. Let's make a beeline into Buffalo mode. Bonecrusher, transform! So, Bonecrusher turns into a Buffalo Mine-Protected Clearance Vehicle, or MPCV for short. And for a vehicle that barely appears in the game at all, it is, without a doubt, the best looking vehicle mode in the entire game. Seriously, the work that went into this model makes you question what everyone else in this game was working on. This model has no right looking this good and makes everything else look like pixelated junk by comparison. Most of that isn't thanks to his texture resolution. Bonecrusher has two, technically three, textures for his vehicle mode that are 1024 by 1024, compared to the standard 512 by 512. Add to the fact that the entire art style done for his textures far surpasses that of any of the core characters. It is not a flat color, and it isn't pixely or smudgy in the slightest. He may be a bit too beaten up and dirty for my liking, but I'll take high quality and inaccurate compared to the opposite. And it isn't just the textures that are gorgeous too. His entire vehicle mode is modeled as nicely as his textures are designed. Of course, even a model as glorious as this isn't without issue. We'll go through him and assess his high and low points. First, let's start with his iconic crane. As far as I can tell, this design seems to be pretty on point with what you see in the movie. I swear, there is more attention to detail poured out into this one model than just about everything else in this game. Makes me think he might have been one of the first models finished. Whoever designed this model should get a medal. Anyway, moving on from the crane, I want to highlight the Bonecrusher logo on the rear sides of the vehicle. I am pleased to say that his logos are in fact unmirrored. pretty uncommon that we get properly unmirrored text for certain characters, so it again both pleases me and surprises the heck out of me that they went as far as they did with this vehicle. I just don't get it. Impressively enough, they even included his rear ID tag on the back. His wheels, however, are where things get a little weird. You see, despite the fact that Bonecrusher has two textures, which do indeed contain his wheels, somehow has a fur that is literally just the rear half of a previous texture. I am really not sure why they felt the need to add a fur texture that is literally just the back half of one they already have. It doesn't affect the visual appearance of the texture or anything, it's just a really curious change. As I said though, as glorious as Bonecrusher's vehicle mode is, it does have a couple issues. First of all, he has a couple of textureless rods underneath his left mud flaps. What's interesting is that these aren't specific sections that are just missing a material. These are actually just a duplicated object that conceal the properly materialized version. And if you just simply delete said mesh, that issue will be completely resolved. His second issue, however, can only be found if you clip inside him. The entire interior of his vehicle is using the same glass material as his windows, thus making everything inside semi-transparent. Now fortunately, unless you're looking inside out, you'll likely not even notice this. Still, I think it is an interesting point to mention. Well, that's a wrap on the visual analysis. Let's talk functionality. Surprisingly, Bonecrusher actually has a fully functional horn. It is the same one used by Optimus. His handling is pretty darn good from what I can tell. Certainly not the worst vehicle I've played as. And for speed, he can get up to around 125 miles per hour by default, and around 145 with nitro activated. And that is all for our Bonecrusher breakdown. However, we should take him into action and test his abilities further to prove his worth as a Decepticon warrior. So, let's go lay some hate. We will begin by testing Bonecrusher's destructive capabilities at the first mission of the level, which will give us a good idea on how he operates against humans. Alright, Boney, let's see what you can do. Wow, that is pitiful. Is it really that bad? Wow, yeah, it is that bad. Okay. Alright. This could take a while. I swear it'd have more punch than that. Ooh. Though his melee seems to be better, so we'll stick with that. Oh. Okay, that's one. Let's move. Gotta say, I've always loved driving in the airbase. There's just something about it. Oh, next zone coming up. God, this is awful. Break it, Boney. Break. Oh, this is just insulting. Ow, what the heck? Dang it. Break it, Boney. Break. It's a good thing I'm invincible. Hey. Donk. There. Yeah, oh, a little bit clumsy, huh? Get up there, dude. Got it. Right, let's move. Oh, whoop. Coming around. Oh. I guess I could always try throwing stuff. Okay. Oh, ugh. Yeah. Yeah. Out of my way. Boom. Got it. One zone left. Oops. Ah, forget it. Ah. Out of my way. Ah. That works pretty darn well. Dang it. One more left. Ah. Okay. Well, that wasn't quite as good as I could have hoped, but that was just against human forces. Now let's test them against some actual Autobots. So naturally, the next best test would be the attack submission. But I've made it a bit more challenging this time, so we can get a true test of his abilities. Alright. You are first. Donk! I can't pick you up. Get up! Okay. This is pathetic. Oh, hey there. You can't pick that up. Yeah. Love that punch. Oh, you're gonna make things confusing. Got Power Dasher. Should know that I modded him on. Well, that won't save you. Shield breaker. Whoa. Ah. Stop where you are. Oh, yeah! Oh, get back in the zone. Out of my way. Are you still here? Go away! Okay, he's the real one. Oh! Better deal with you first. God dang it! It's a good thing I'm invincible. Yeah. Ah! You're not. Stop it! I'll strike you. Eh. Eh. Huh. Pathetic. Oh, crud. Oh, crud, which one is which? Ah! Oh. Alright, okay, you're the one I hit, so... need a light. There we go. No. Yes. Ah! Break! Ah! Can I do this in the time allotted is the question. I don't know. We shall see. Darn it, they went back again. You. Oh. Oh, mid-air takedown. Fantastic. Whee. Oh. Stop going back there, will ya? You're the guy. Whoa. Back off. Take that. Catch, Hank. Alright. Oh, I didn't get a chance to do anything. You just killed a human. Shame on you. Oh. Okay, I say he performed quite admirably. Aside from his lousy ranged weapons, he did pretty darn well. Alright, our analysis is complete. Let me wrap up my thoughts. And there you have a remastered reconnaissance of the Decepticon Bonecrusher. Again, this character is a highlight of the entire game, simply because of how great his alt mode is. And let's be honest, using his crane and skating around is just a whole lot of fun. This is a fun character to play as. He just is. He's just so much fun. The only real flaw he has as far as gameplay goes is that his ranged weapons are just poo. But if his robot mode had the same resolution textures as his vehicle mode, he'd probably be one of the best looking characters in the game. Still, despite his few shortcomings, easily one of the best characters in the game, and you barely even see him. Well, with Bonecrusher now complete, we only have one unused Decepticon left, and that is of course his cohort, Brawl. We'll take a look at him next time. So, I will see you then. Till then, don't be hating. That's his job.